Yo, what's going on, y'all? Welcome back to Kid Taj. Today we're going to be talking about the Chicago Bulls, my Chicago Bulls, but in general, a much larger issue, and that is tanking in the NBA. As everybody knows, tanking has been, a pretty large theme for a lot of, the worser teams in the NBA. A lot of those teams that you see at the bottom of the conferences, a lot of the times, the owners and just the entire front offices of those teams are in reality pulling for these bad teams to keep losing, and everybody knows why. It's obvious. They want the highest picks in the next NBA draft that they can get, and the reason for this, of course, they want to get their new franchise centerpiece. They want to get a guy they can build their franchise around for the next 10-15 years, and the Chicago Bulls right now are 9-20. However, they were previously 3-20, good enough for easily the worst record in the NBA. But after a recent winning streak, they're currently climbing the standings. They're better than now 3 teams in the NBA, the Hawks, the Mavericks, and the Grizzlies, and they have the same record as the Sacramento Kings. But they're kind of working their way out of the super lottery top 3 position, I should say. And with 6 games in a row, with a team looking so much better than they previously were, this team is currently on that trend of, winning more games. We're not really expecting this team to be one of the bottom 3 worst teams in the league come the end of the year, because not only is this team playing so well after Nikola Mirotic comes back from injury, but Zach LaVine is coming back into the lineup soon. This is a guy that averaged over 19 points per game as a third option on a team, a proven scorer, likely a future all-star. I don't know if I'm reaching with that, but I mean, this is a guy that has proven that he can be a star in this league for sure, because he has, had a few great seasons in his young career. Maybe I should say one great season, but at least that last season he was really great. And so, as a Chicago Bulls fan, and just because of this, we can use this for all of you guys who are fans of some of these bottom barrel teams. So anyone that's a Mavericks fan, a Grizzlies fan, a Hawks Magic fan, a Kings fan, any of you guys, what are we doing? Are we rooting for our team to lose games so that we can get a better pick? And for me personally, I'm actually happy to see a 6-game winning streak. I know a lot of you guys might be like, okay, well, don't you want that better pick? Don't you, want Michael Porter Jr.? Yes. I mean, I would love Michael Porter Jr. on my team. However, there's something you have to know as a fan of anybody. And the Sixers, of course, people look at the Sixers and they're like, well, that's the blueprint, okay? They got Ben Simmons, they got Markelle Fultz, they got Joel Embiid, they even got Jahlil Okafor, and he didn't turn out to be anything for them. However, they still had the opportunity to pick a 3rd overall guy, another 3rd overall guy, a 1st overall guy, and another 1st overall guy this year, Markelle Fultz. So they have 4 years back to back of top 3 picks, which is what they were able to do because of the process, which was a pretty obvious tanking strategy to get the best players in the draft in order to build this future dynasty team that they're looking at trying to do right now. They've got a bunch of really great players, and so at this point, they're trying to make the playoffs for the first time, and I believe it's going to be 6 years if they make it since their last playoff appearance. So, you look at a team like the Sixers, and it's like, man, well, if we tank and we do so bad, we could get players like those guys. We could build a team like that. However, here's the problem. Players and coaches don't tank, and this is easily, the biggest obstacle for people who tank. And I guess, you could say in a way, that Joel Embiid getting injured was like a blessing in disguise. Same thing with Ben Simmons. Like, this helped them get these good picks and, injuries on their team, and, purposely not signing free agents and keeping their team bad, at least on the bench, was a way that they were able to get, be so bad. However, like I just said, if you got players out there that are young and, you want them to be superstars, you can't be mad when they're playing well. As a Bulls fan, I'm looking at like Chris Dunn and Lauri Markkanen having the seasons they're having. This is great. I want them to be playing like this. We got Nikola Mirotic out here looking like a superstar. I mean, the way he's playing, maybe not a superstar. Let's just say star. Nikola Mirotic is looking like a star right now. The way he's played in these last few games, I'm not saying he's a star. I don't think he's a star. However, through 5 games, he has played like a star. Or 6 games, I should say, because they're 6-0 since he came back. They were 3-20 without him, 6-0 when he comes back. He's playing great. He's looking like a guy that really wants to take the wheel for this team. And another young guy, Bobby Portis, is also playing his best basketball so far in his career. So we got those young guys, 4 guys right there, that are playing great basketball. And at least, 2 or 3 of them, I don't know if we can keep all 4 for the long run, because 3 of those guys are power forwards. So, you could play 2 at a time, but I think one of them would have to go eventually. If you were assuming they would all be like starter caliber players, which I think, at this point, they're all looking to be. For this team, I think everybody wants to be a starter that's, playing pretty well, that's young. They're like, look, I got to be a starter on this Bulls team because it's one of the weaker teams in the league. This is how I'm going to start out. This is how I'm going to, build my game. And that's fine. As a fan, I want to see the young players that have that potential, that can get good. I want to see them play well. And that's exactly what a lot of these guys are doing, which is great. I can't complain about that. If we're getting W's that, we have Chris Dunn and Lauri Markkanen and Mirotic leading us to W's, I can't complain about that because that's what I want. You want to see your young guys, develop a winning mentality and ability early in their careers because that's just an example of how good they can be. So, if we're here and we're just losing every game, and then we're not making any progress because obviously the guys we have just aren't good enough. We don't have a player on our team averaging 25 points. We don't have that one guy. It's not like it's like a one-man show. Everybody else sucks. It's like, we got a lot of guys that can play a little bit. And if they all were just playing bad and our team was terrible, that's not good. That's no progress. We can add MPJ. Okay, that's one guy for our garbage team. So I don't think, that's really going to solve all that much unless, we get MPJ and now all these free agents want to come. I don't think one player is going to make a bunch of free agents want to join our team. I don't think that's enough to build this championship team. We got to roll with the guys that we have. As a fan, I can't root against my team in general. That's painfully bad, but also it's you have to realize, these guys aren't going to lose on purpose. They all want their money. They want to prove they can be stars in this league. They want to be stars in this league. And the coaches, they want to keep their jobs. They want to be able to be prolific in their careers as well. So, it's all up to the front office to direct a tank job. And, the way you do that is making trades. You're not going to fake an injury. I don't think that's a rational thing to do in the NBA. Making trades is the way to go. And the way the Bulls could stop this, this huge win streak is by trading Nikola Mirotic away. And that's one thing that you could do, but I wouldn't want you to do that because of how well he's playing for this team and who he wants to be for this team. He wants to play in Chicago, then we got to keep him around, I think, just because hopefully he can be something. He's always a guy that has played better when he hasn't had to deal with, these alpha players. There's always been, Jimmy Butler's always been in Chicago, and whenever Jimmy Butler or Dwayne Wade or Derrick Rose got injured, Nikola Mirotic would always play better because, that's just who he is. He's a guy that, if you're not going to be consistently getting him touches and shots, he really can't contribute in his best form. He needs to, be able to create some offense and get his amount of shots. And that's not too many because he's been leading by example and playing very well without totally ball hogging and being inefficient. He's been really good. So at this point, should the Chicago Bulls tank, that's up to the front office, and the way they do that is trading Robin Lopez, trading Nikola Mirotic. I do think they should trade Robin Lopez. Don't get me wrong. He's pretty old, and he's helping them win because he's playing pretty well, although I do think the Bulls need a veteran presence in the locker room, and maybe he's helping keep the team together. So I think that might be the only thing keeping them from doing that, except I am hearing that he should be gone before the deadline. Like it would be a surprise if he's still on the Bulls team. So, that's whatever. Overall, tanking is something that, you can only do if your team is set up in a way that allows you to use this tanking format correctly. So you would need a team, where you don't have a lot of really good young players. You need only like one good young player, and your team is bad. You get rid of a lot of the old guys that are good, and you sign a bunch of these like really young guys that haven't done anything yet, that are unproven D-League players or G-League players. And that's like what Philly did. So, I don't think the Bulls are in that position, because if they trade Mirotic, which I, again, would not be in favor of, they still have a few guys that can play. They still have guys that are going to step up, and they're going to get some wins. They're not going to win as many games. So, you would be getting a better pick if you get rid of Mirotic, but do you really want to get rid of Mirotic? Is that something you really want to do? Is his trade value up enough to the point where you can trade him, get an equal amount in return that you feel represents the value that he was giving you, or that he could be giving this team? Because remember, he might, become something. The way he's playing, he might be a man on a mission, and he might be something in the future that you don't know at this point. This guy's playing amazing for you. Do you really want to trade him? Is that something you want to do? Are you ballsy enough to? I don't think the general management for the Bulls is ballsy enough to do something like that. I just don't think so. So I seriously doubt it. Let me know what you guys think about tanking in general. Is this something that, any team can do? I don't think so. I think you gotta be in a certain, and I don't really think tanking works as well as people think. I think the Sixers were just very fortunate in a way. Like, their guys just happened to all get injured. Unless you have a theory that they were faking those injuries so that they could get better picks. I don't know, man. I don't know about that one. So let me know what you think. I'm out. Thanks for watching, y'all. Peace.